Today I'm going to show you how to make my Lebkuchen recipe. It's one of the cookies that I make for my Christmas market, and I made about 100 pounds. So today I'm going to show you how to make it from home. You're going to start off with your candied fruit. Typically it's orange and lemon. I do like to order mine from Germany, and I will post the link below. But you're going to put that into a food processor, and you're going to want to make sure that it becomes kind of like this fine paste almost. And of course you can also keep it a little bit coarser, but I like to do it this way that you don't have big chunks in your Lebkuchen of the candied fruit. Next, you're going to use almonds. I like to use almonds. You could also use hazelnut or both. And you're also putting it in a food processor, and you do want to make sure that it's not flour, but that it's fine enough so you don't have large almond pieces that you're biting into. In a separate bowl, you're going to add brown sugar, you're going to add room temperature butter, and then you're going to add honey. And that is what kind of is your starting point. You do want to have that in a mixing bowl. That is a standing mixer. Of course, you can do it by hand, but with a paddle attachment, you're going to start mixing that to really incorporate this nicely. Of course, again, this is my commercial mixer, so this makes about 100 pounds that I'm doing right now, but you will have 3 pounds for your cookie recipe. You're going to put that into your mixer, and you're just going to mix it until it is nicely incorporated. And then next, what I like to do is add my eggs. Typically it's 2 eggs. Of course, again, there's a lot of eggs here because this is 100 pounds that I'm making. You're going to cream it until it nicely comes together and looks like this. And then in a separate bowl, the one that you had your nuts in and your candied fruit, you're also going to add a Lebkuchen spice and sunflower oil. Now, keep in mind, there is some notes that I have in my recipe on my blog on what Lebkuchen spice is, and so make sure to read some of those notes. I will also put that in the description below. But in your bowl, you're just going to kind of gently incorporate it, mix it all nicely together, because that mixture is what's going into your mixture with the eggs and the butter and the honey and the brown sugar. Lastly, you also want to use bitter almond extract. I do like to use mine, get mine from Germany, and you're going to add a few drops into the mixture. So now I incorporated my nut and candied fruit mixture into my honey and butter and brown sugar mixture, and we're going to mix it until it kind of comes together and looks like this. You also want to add cocoa powder. For this batch, I actually ran out of cocoa powder, but the cocoa powder goes in there as well. And then next, you're going to prepare your flour, add some salt, and then you also need brewed coffee, and you're going to start alternating between the flour and then also the cooled coffee that you have. And you're going to keep alternating, ending with the flour until it's nicely mixed and incorporated together. Now, keep in mind, this dough is very, very sticky. And so even when you touch it, it's going to still be sticky, because now the next step is you're going to take that dough and you're going to put it into a bowl. And then you're going to let it rest. Ideally, they say to put it in the refrigerator. However, I've even left it out of room temperature as long as it's not super hot in your house. And you're going to let it sit overnight. And then the next day is when you're going to start baking it. This allows it to also just kind of like for the nuts and everything to really absorb all the liquid, and it won't be as liquidy. Next, you're going to get Backplatten, which is something that you can buy on Amazon. You can buy at the German specialty shops, and I will also post a link below. And you're going to just put your Backplatten on your baking sheet. You want to leave a little bit of space in between, because your Lebkuchen will spread just a slight little bit. And I have found that using a cookie scooper is really the best way to go. I like to have my Lebkuchen a little bit thicker. Now, you can also make them thinner, so you have to kind of figure out how you would like your Lebkuchen to be. And you're just going to put them on top of the Backplatten. So that's really all you're doing. Another method that you could use is you can just kind of like wet your hands and then take some of the Lebkuchen dough and just form a ball. However, it is sticky and you have to keep wetting your hands. So I would recommend just using a cookie scooper, and then this is just the easiest way that you can place everything on there. You can also, of course, not use the Backobladen, but that is part of the traditional German Lebkuchen. There's also another version called Elisa Lebkuchen, which is similar, but it doesn't have flour in it, and it's a gluten-free one. And so even the Backobladen could be omitted there to keep it completely gluten-free. You want to bake this at 350 for about 15 to 17 minutes, and you can see how it's looking. It still looks like it's a little bit moister, but when you touch it, you want it to be soft. You want it to be soft, but you also don't want it to stick to your hand. Next, you want to take some chocolate Kuvertüre, and you're going to heat it up. It's fairly simple. I'm going to post a link below also on where you can buy different chocolates. You can either buy the more expensive one, which is a larger pack, or you can buy smaller ones at German specialty stores. You can also use Lindt chocolate, but a Kuvertüre is always what's the best and easiest way to go. And then lastly, I would recommend wearing gloves. You're going to take your Lebkuchen after they bake for the 15 to 18 minutes, depending on how thick, and you're going to dip them into your chocolate after they're completely cooled. Now this one you can see totally spread a little bit too much, and the Backobladen was much smaller, so that's actually a little mistake that I did for this one. But then some of the other ones, you can see the Backobladen are kind of like to the size of the actual cookie. So you'll have to kind of play around with that. You can see here some are a little bit bigger, but that's totally fine. Taste is still there. And so you're just going to dip it into the chocolate. You also have the option to do a powder sugar glaze, and all you would do is just add powder sugar, a little bit of water, and I like to also do a splash of rum, and then you can dip it in just you would dip it in like with the chocolate. So it's fairly easy to do, and you can see in this one, this is kind of the right size because the Backobladen on the bottom is fitting to the Lebkuchen. And then lastly, you're just going to place your dipped Lebkuchen on parchment paper or a cooling rack, and you're just going to let it cool completely. And then you're going to package it, keep it in a tin. It's super easy to make. It's a fun gift idea, and that's how you make authentic German Lebkuchen. I hope you can follow along for more authentic German recipes.